University of Minnesota Extension grain marketing specialist Ed Usset is our market analyst this week. The latest USDA crop progress report shows nearly all of the nation's corn, 97%, is emerged, along with 3/4 of the country's soybean crop. Condition ratings for both are holding fairly steady, but they're not quite as good as they were at this time a year ago. We talked with Ed here Thursday morning to get his thoughts on corn and soybean markets, but started by asking about the shape of the crop in Minnesota.
Very good. We've had an awful lot of rain. I look at my own home, which I know that isn't the crop, it's just grass, but I can't mow it enough. I mow it every 5 days. It looks wonderful, and fortunately or unfortunately, maybe how you view it, I think a whole lot of Minnesota looks that way.
We talked in December at the Soybean Expo in Wahoo about setting a marketing strategy for the upcoming year. Tell me what your strategy was, the price levels you set, and whether or not they hit.
Well, I started almost a year ago, 10 months ago. I usually think about starting at production costs, which would be a cash price, $420, $430, $440 in Nebraska, southern Minnesota. And that, of course, would be December futures at about $4.80 a bushel, $5. Well, that just hasn't happened. And I quickly retraced that this spring. Back by late winter, I should say, early spring, I'd reset my thoughts. Get me something around $4.50 in December corn. $4.40, I'm gonna bite the bullet and get something done because things could get worse. Well, I haven't gotten anything done, Jeff. We're now at $3.75 in the futures. That's $3.30 cash price to many of you good corn huskers. By the way, I wore my colors just for your audience.
Boy, we appreciate that, Ed. We really do.
I know. But you look at $3.30 cash corn, that's $1.25 under production costs. And I can't chase that. I can't chase that. I have to hope for something better in the months ahead.
Meaning what, you just keep waiting?
I'll just keep waiting on pre-harvest pricing. I will not chase it lower at this point. I can regret not biting the bullet maybe 40 cents ago, 50 cents ago. But, you know, hindsight, that's hindsight. I didn't do it, chose not to, chose to wait for something better. And now I'm not going to just chase it lower.
Was the same situation applicable in soybeans?
Yeah, we've got, I think, a starting point, a break-even starting point on November soybeans would be at least $10.50 to $11 a bushel. Well, we're at $9.40 today. In soybeans, we're $1.50 below break-even prices. Can we go lower? Unfortunately, yes. Will I chase it? Will I get aggressive now chasing it lower? No, I won't. I'm going to tough it out to new crop, and if nothing happens, I'll have to figure it out after harvest.
Have you had to do this before in terms of have you set targets before and they haven't filled before?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This happens. We haven't seen it in a long time. I call the period 2007 to 2014 the second golden age of American agriculture. Well, this is middle of 2015. I think we put that behind us, and I would take our listeners back to early 2000s, late 90s, periods when we had extended times below production costs. It can happen. We don't like it, but it can happen.
How bearish are the indicators that the market is showing you right now?
Well, it's all about weather right now. It's all about weather and rain. And we want to talk about flooding the crop out, and there is some of that. There's some delayed planting. There are issues out there, but for every acre, there's an issue. We've got 10 acres that have ample rain, and they're in a great position to take on the July heat and those key development times.
For farmers, Ed, in Nebraska and Minnesota who are still holding that grain, waiting for the right price, what should be the strategy?
Well, that's a trickier problem because I've taken care of old crop issues. My old crop corn and beans on my mythical farms, those sales have been made. And so I feel I can afford to be a little more stubborn about new crop. If you've got two crops running on this, last year's crop and this year's, you've really boxed yourself into a corner. Not only that, we're coming upon the end of June, and I have something I call the 11th Commandment of grain marketing. That is, you shouldn't be holding cash grain in the bin after July 1. The idea there, and I explain it well in the second edition of my book coming out soon. I explain the 11th Commandment of grain marketing, where you've got not only a tendency for futures prices to go lower in the summer to fall, but you've also got basis, which starts its defensive moves slowly from summer highs to harvest lows. The odds of making money on grain in the bin, it gets really tough for old crop grain. People are going to have to bite the bullet here and get something sold.